Hi guys,
Hi,
I'm Kim, if you don't know us.
I'm Mike.
We're milling about, and today we're going to go for a hike around Pinewood Reservoir here. It's a beautiful area, and I'll try to be quiet because it's all nice out here. It's a beautiful day today. It's what, 45 degrees today?
Right now.
Yep.
It's supposed to be 70. We'll get there.
We'll see how warm it gets, and we're going to take you on a walk with us and maybe tell you some about what made our decision to go full-time RVing. So, see you in a bit. Okay, so you may actually hear us huffing and puffing. It's been a long year of quarantine and a long winter. So we're quite out of shape.
And we're pretty high up here.
Yeah, it's a high altitude. It's Colorado. But yeah, it's a beautiful day, but we're definitely out of shape. So I'm gonna try to talk and walk at the same time here.
I'm not huffing at all.
So one of the things that made us decide, well, me in particular, I had a couple of years ago, I guess more like 4 years ago now, my grandmother passed away, and I went out to Michigan to go to her funeral. They lived on a little farm out in Michigan, and one of my favorite places to go. But coming back from there, we were flying over all the different farm fields and different things, and made me think about all the things that can be done in our beautiful country and that we were missing out on. And it also made me realize how short life is, and that it was something that I really wanted to do, was to see our country. I was looking at the little communities down there, and being able to see, thinking about being able to write about those little towns, those little villages, big cities, just the people. So maybe someday I will write about it, so we'll see. But ended up coming home, having the idea, not really thinking too much about it, because, you know, that's something that's, you don't do.
Other people do.
I didn't even think other people did it. One of our favorite movies was RV, but it was one of those things that we were kind of like, yeah, we'd never be able to do something like that. So I didn't even really think about it, so I just kind of let it sit in my brain for a long time. And, you know, just as an off chance kind of thing, I talked to Mike about it and was like, you know, we should just sell everything and travel full-time in an RV. And Mike, being the down-to-earth person that I was expecting him to be, I was expecting him to say, we don't do that. Other people do that.
Yeah. What are you, crazy?
But much to my surprise, Mike was very much okay.
More open to the idea.
More open to the idea. So, how open were you?
I was very open. Open.
So what did you think of the idea when I proposed it to you?
I'll have to give my take when you're done here. So I can think and gather my thoughts.
So he was very open to it, so let these bikers go by.
Definitely gonna have to hit these trails up.
Yeah, these are some great trails for biking, so we're gonna look at the map real quick before we continue so that we can see where we're going. So I'll let you kind of look around. Yeah, I think it's all.
Yeah.
So we're gonna head up the Shoshone Interpretive Trail here.
Hiking, biking, and horseback.
Yep, so hiking, biking, and horseback is allowed here, so we're gonna head up this way. All right, so we're heading up this trail here. I probably should watch where I'm going so I don't trip on anything. It's a well-marked trail, so you know where you're going here.
We've gone 1 mile already.
So now I can get Mike behind me here. There we go.
Hi there.
Say hi.
Hi there.
So Mike decided, yeah, you go ahead and do some research and we'll see what we can do. So started doing some research, and one of the things that I did was join a Facebook group for full-time RVers so I could ask a lot of questions. We're going uphill now, so I'm gonna get more winded. So being able to do a lot of research with the Facebook groups, I know that there's a lot of people that don't like Facebook for different things. I use it a lot for the groups for full timing and for grand design and for
A lay person out there.
so I started doing the research, and then I realized there's a lot of research to be done. I'm not going to waste my time doing all of this research if Mike really doesn't want to do this. So, sorry. So I ended up dragging him out to Lazy Days RV and walking through an RV to make sure that this was something that he'd even think about doing.
Practice.
Yeah. So we walked through a Class A. That's exactly what Mike wanted, was a Class A.
That would be a motorhome.
Yeah, motorhome. And
For the lay person.
so we found one that we kind of liked. It was a Thor. Had a bunkhouse and the overhead loft in the driver's area, so the kids would have plenty of space for themselves. And so coming home from that, Mike was like, yeah, oh, might have to just film for a little bit. But he was kind of like, yeah, we should totally do this. It's a little muddy out here.
Oh yeah. Stay
And
beside the trail, but on the trail.
Yep. So we ended up, I'm gonna just film for a little bit.
Nice. The smell of warm pine smells good.
So Mike, what were you thinking when I said, let's do this?
I question myself every day. What was I thinking? No, so, well, I got my own full story myself. So, I don't know. I think at the beginning, I was thinking it was just kind of like, I don't know, kind of like a dream out of reach. Like it didn't seem like it was reality or doable. So, I mean, not being one to just on a whim do something. We usually like to plan things, at least I do, and do things, and that just seemed like just kind of reckless and ridiculous, you know. Usually something either retirees would do or hippies that just want to go out and live off the land, you know. But for like the average person, normal family that wants to travel and do stuff, it just didn't seem doable. And a big thing obviously was the finances, being able to do that, because we didn't want to buy a bunch of stuff, be making payments and doing all that too. So really the only thing that made it, I guess, realistic and doable is that knowing that, you know, we made a good investment in our house and it pretty much doubled in value since we bought it here. And I think that circumstance only made it doable for us. That we weren't like a lot of people that, you know, do this and end up making payments for years, just like you buy new cars and things like that. I didn't want to put herself in that and just even do that. So knowing that we would be able to sell the house and pretty much buy everything with cash with the profits made the financial piece doable. And then obviously, obviously, the finance piece of having income while you're traveling, that's one of the biggest things. So we sat down and kind of figured out bill-wise that luckily with me being retired military, that we did have a consistent income for the rest of our lives. Pretty limited, but, you know, something that we could definitely make work. When you sit down and look at expenses of traveling and, you know, fuel, food, reservations, things like that, we knew we'd be able to, but would be scraping by. So, and there's different options. I mean, plenty of people work from the road, and looking at it now, that's something I think we're going to do anyway, at least for a portion of the year. That we don't have to work full time, 40 hours a week, the entire year like you normally would with a stationary life to, you know, pay for bills and afford for your current lifestyle that you have. But all that's just finance stuff. So knowing that that was a possibility of being able to buy this stuff with cash and have an income source on a month-to-month basis, that was probably the biggest hurdle to get over, of knowing that this is kind of like a dream floating out there in the air, you know. So that's my take for now. Back to Kim.
You ready to walk?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So having Mike have that decision made.
It wasn't just me. It was both of us.
But if he hadn't made that decision, if he was like, no, we're never doing this, it wouldn't have happened. I would never say, yes, we're doing this without him. So we did look at the Class A. We had decided on that Class A, but, you know, it's still ways out. We hadn't really decided when we were going to do things or what we were doing.
When we retired at 65.
It was still in the planning stages, so we had to kind of figure out exactly what we were doing as far as the research. So I started watching different YouTube videos, like I'm going to show you this here while I'm talking. We started watching different YouTube videos, like Fate Unbound was a big one that we watched to really get us started. They do a lot of boondocking, so I was able to do a lot of research on the type of boondocking that we would like to do someday in the future. So then we were able to do that. I did a lot in the way of research, and once that research and that decision was made, I went back to Lazy Days by myself to look at some of those Class A's. And I took a measuring tape. Now I know a lot of people live in Class A's, and motorhomes, and they do it just fine. For us, measuring everything, I realized not only did it not have a whole bunch of space for the bikes and different things, it also had very limited space within the kitchen. Heather's bed would just be one bed, really no space for any of her stuff. Ryan's bed would be a bed, and he'd have to have all of his stuff up there. And the one that we had looked at was gone, so there were no other bunkhouse models available. And we also started looking at the finance part of it. So
much more expensive.
Yeah, the Class A that we were looking at was $120,000.
Oh, that was it?
That was the one we were looking at. The other one was like more than that.
Yeah, they're usually like 150 plus.
Right.
Average.
So you have that, and then we had to figure out our tow vehicle. So we were going to sell our Explorer and get a Subaru or something. So there's the expense of the car. And then you also needed to have some kind of tow dolly or tow system to make sure that you could tow it. So as we're adding up all of these prices, we realized this is probably not the best thing for us. So we ended up, man, it's gorgeous out here. I ended up talking to Mike about it a little bit more, and we ended up going and taking a look at the fifth wheels. Mike really didn't want a big truck for driving around town and different things.
I like little trucks.
Yeah, he had, what was?
A Ford Ranger.
Ford Ranger.
Small truck.
So.
Not mind a mid-size or even just a regular full size.
Right.
Never owned a big vehicle like that.
So yeah, having the big truck was one of the downfalls that Mike was like, oh, I really don't want that. I don't want a fifth wheel because of that. But once we actually went and started looking at the fifth wheels, went back to Lazy Days, drug Ryan with us, and we started looking around at different things, and we actually found an open range that had a really nice layout. We were really looking at some kind of a bunkhouse or something like that so that we could have the room for the kids and stuff. But Mike saw the front range that had a front living room, and it was kind of closed off.
The open range.
It was, yeah, sorry, open range.
Yeah, we live on the front range.
So he looked at that and really thought that that was a really nice one.
Front living room.
Yep. So I'm gonna let Mike talk about his decisions with the front living room and his research.
Oh. I guess
if I can find him back there.
Okay.
There he is.
So, this all happened over 2 years ago, so with my senioritis, it's hard for me to remember all this. So, I think one of my big things is when we started looking at fifth wheels and layouts of where we would be living and hanging out all day when we're inside. Looking at bunkhouses, it's great for sleeping areas for the kids, you know, separate beds or rooms or whatever. But it's very isolated and separated. That there's really no like central hangout for a family. So if we all wanted to sit down and watch a movie, you know, just hang out together, that, you know, I could just see the circumstance of the kids wanting to hang out in their room, lay in their bed, do whatever, playing their laptops, and we would always be separated. And that's normally how some of the family bunkhouse units are with families, but usually that's with littler kids. That's their sleeping area or playroom or whatever. So looking at front living areas, basically you got your living room on the front end of the fifth wheel, which is essentially the part over the bed of your truck. So a couple steps go up to it, and pretty much all of them have a slide on each side, left and right. So they pop out, basically to double your space in the living room. And usually it's just couches on those side ends. So looking at it, started talking and looking about possibly having a unit like that. where we got plenty of room in the living room for all 4 of us to hang out, and we could essentially make those couch areas into like bedrooms for the kids. So basically taking the couch out, making some kind of bed unit, then they can use that for a sleeping slash sitting area. We all have access to TV to watch movies, hang out, talk, do whatever. So that was kind of like our first, what do you call it? Kind of decision of a layout of what we would possibly do if we got a 5th wheel. So, and looking back at it now, really glad we did. I mean, the big sacrifice really is the kids sacrificing their space, but they would be living on space in a bunkhouse too, and they would be off on their own. We wouldn't see them all night. They'd just be hanging out because that's their sitting and area to hang out. So I'm glad we did the living room. And the kids is just a temporary thing with us. You know, they're both adults now. We're not planning on them being with us forever. This is mainly a thing for Kim and I to travel and do things. And if the kids want to travel and be with us, that's great. But that's going to be one of the sacrifices they're going to have is limited space for themselves, just like a living space in your whole house area. So we decided on the front living room area.
Okay, we're going to take a little break here, so we'll be back with you.
We got some more hikers here. So. I am back. As you can see, we are hiking here. So I'll try to get a little side view while we're walking. So my story on why I wanted a full-time RV. So obviously Kim and I been together pushing 30 years now since we met, which has been great. We love each other very much. Say we're adventurous, but not too adventurous. It's not like we're, you know, outdoorsmen or, you know, adventure seekers, but we're definitely, we like to go out and see things. So, oh, there's Kim coming up next to me. So my story of why I would want to. So with us being together, you know, we've had the typical home life, aside from me having a 20-year military career. So really with that, I mean, we had it pretty easy. We only moved 4 times in 20 years, lived in 4 different places, but in that time, we've actually had quite a few opportunities of traveling and seeing places, whether going on vacations, weekend trips, things like that. So we definitely like to drive and go see places, and that's been some of our greatest memories and time together, at least in my mind, that I feel. We've always had a good home life, lived in nice places ever since we've been together, you know, raised our kids in traditional homes. Been really nice, and really cherished and enjoyed all those years with our kids growing up. So it's not like we're trying to escape anything, but you know, with that said, some of our greatest memories have been going on trips, seeing places, just having fun, doing things like that. And I know obviously making that jump to being full-time in an RV, it's not all roses like that. You're not on permanent vacation. You still need to make a living one way or another, occupy your time, and do things to contribute to society and not just be self-serving, everything for yourself. So, you know, with that, we could always do that and either work or volunteer or do whatever. So really thinking about it, I was like, well, we currently live in a beautiful house, yard, neighborhood, really like it, but we just don't feel that fulfilled in having that be in our permanent forever life. You know, even though we do enjoy that and love that, I can't see spending another 40 years just doing the same thing day in, day out, going to work 40 hours a week, you know, same job like that until you retire, and then settling down and just being at the house. It's great for a lot of people, most people. It's kind of like the American dream goal, but for us, we kind of want something a little different, a little more. So with that kind of out of the way, really puts in perspective, do we really want to do something like this, change our entire life, give up our house, our comfort, our stability? You know, it's a pretty risky move, because if you don't think it through, you know, you're gonna end up out on the street homeless somewhere with just the stuff you have. Which, think about it, that can happen to anybody. With a job, you get fired, you can't make your mortgage, you're gonna be booted out eventually anyway. So really, that just leaves, what do we want for our lives? Do we want the opportunity to travel, to see places, maybe to live more minimalistic with our income and our possessions, or do we just want to have the stable, kind of comfortable life? You know, I have a great job, income coming in, retirement, all that stuff. So kind of weighing the pros and cons, and then like Kim said, we started looking at RVs, at the possibilities, reading on the forums what people do, how they make a living, how they do this, you know, what kind of things that are they facing, you know, positive and negative. Really talking about it, really put in perspective that this is something I think that we would really want to do, and would definitely choose that over just staying in our house. So, and here's Kim all smiley.
I think I might be all red.
No, she's not that red. So that was kind of one of my things. You know, I'm not, even though I like my material things, I'm not materialistic and attached to my things. So I was willing to give up the house, most of our possessions, things like that, and use all those proceeds to buy a truck and a fifth wheel. That's a pretty scary thing, because houses appreciate in value over time. What we did depreciates, total opposite. So you're actually losing value as the years go on, just like when you buy a car. But to me, I would rather our next 20 years be full of memories that we can cherish, and not just memories of us together at a house. Because we already have a lifetime of memories of our kids growing up, you know, having a good home life. So I really wanted to do this really for Kim and I, for us to have those adventures, to be able to do this while we can physically can, and that we're not at an age starting to go downhill. Like if we waited until 65 or 70, like a lot of people do, you start getting a lot of limits on what you can do.
I'm already falling apart, so
yeah, me too.
if I wait any longer.
Yep. Yeah, 20 years in the military, and old age just starts to set in pretty quick. Takes a toll on your body. And Kim's been great all these years. She has sacrificed so much for her family with raising the kids, providing a great home life for all of us, working, you know, involved in Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Awana. I mean, she's devoted so much of herself for others that I really wanted to do this for her and for me, for our fulfillment together of having these memories and this portion of our life doing this. So that's kind of like how I got to this point. Looking back now, you know, we've been doing this for almost 2 years now. You know, we're stationary. We're kind of stuck here while we're working, paying bills off, kind of getting financially ready to leave. But we have a good park we're staying in, a good spot. You know, really enjoy it here, but this definitely is not a forever solution. So definitely happy here. But looking back over the last 2 years, I still wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm so glad we did this. For myself, for Kim, you know, it's made us both happy and things to look forward to. The kids are kind of on the fence. You know, it's
Ryan is, Heather's not.
Yeah, Heather's actually really excited to go with us and travel. That's something she wants to do. Ryan's got different goals in life and personality. You know, he wants to get out on his own things, and actually being in this circumstance, it's probably going to make us a little easier to get to that point. And I'm going to go ahead and pause a second.
Okay, so we did miss a little bit of Mike's story there, because we hit the wrong button.
I'm a rambler. That's okay.
We're still learning the camera, so sometimes you accidentally hit the selfie button that takes a picture of you in 8 seconds instead of actually starts recording. Yes, that's what it did.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, that's most of Mike's story about why we decided to go RVing. So I'll continue some about kind of the process of what we did. So Mike had decided on the front living area, and
Not just me.
well,
Collaborative deciding.
he had decided before I had, and he did some research and different things about different front livings, and he showed me, and yeah, it was a collaborative once he showed me.
An agreement.
An agreement.
A dictatorship.
Not a dictatorship. But we had decided on the fifth wheel and decided on the truck and everything. And so we decided that we needed to go and look at a front living Alpine. So we went and looked at the Alpine, had everything that we wanted on it. The only thing that was kind of a little tight was the back storage area. Mike had it figured out exactly how to put the bikes in there. He'd have to take off the seats and the wheels and pretty much everything.
All that fun stuff.
Yep. So,
but it was doable.
It was doable. I have a picture of him. If you follow our blog, you already know all of this stuff. But there is a picture of him sitting inside of that pass-through. Not the pass-through, the back. There is. So we went through the Alpine. We really liked it. One of my tips for some people, if you're brand new, make sure you do your research before you go to an RV dealership. There are some RV dealerships that are totally awesome. I'm going to give a shout out to Matt's RV Reviews.
Yes.
His dealership is, he cares about the customer. There's others that the salesperson just wants to make a sale, but also treats you like you don't know anything.
Sounds like a car salesman.
Exactly. So we went in there and I was making some comments about composting toilets and some different things. And his comment to me was that no RV park will allow you to be in the RV park with a composting toilet. One of the other dealerships we went to said that it was a very bad idea for us to put solar panels and composting toilets in because it's going to kill the resale value, after we had told him that we were going full-time. So it's
not really concerned about resale value at this
right
point. Maybe 20 years down the road.
There we go.
There we go. Hopefully it's recording this time.
Yes, it is. So that was one of the things that I was kind of like, well, you know, we may buy this Alpine, but we're not buying it from him. It's interesting how a salesperson can sour the experience for you. Oh, you want me to keep walking? Mike's taking a picture back there. I don't know if he's taking a picture of my feet or...
The rear end.
So we did, we really liked the Alpine. That was kind of the top of our list. And Mike continued to do research and found the Grand Design.
I don't know if I found it or if you did. I think you did.
Well, I think you found the Grand Design brand. We're not sure how we found the Grand Design. We just did. And we started doing research on it and ended up going to Windish RV down in Lakewood.
Lakewood, yeah.
It was in Lakewood,
down in the Denver area.
So we went down there and took a look at one. He had it out and had everything on so that we could look at everything because they were getting ready to take it to the RV show. So, so we were lucky enough to really be able to see everything, see how the slides came out and everything. We walked into that one and it's pretty similar to the Alpine. And remember, this is in 2019, so these have changed some, not a whole lot, but they have changed some. So it's very similar to the Alpine. The bathroom was opposite directions, and you can click up here to kind of see a tour of our RV and the upgrades that we've done.
And the layout.
And the layout. So one of the things I fell in love with was the bathroom. Our house, we had 2 bathrooms. The kids' bathroom was a lot bigger, but
3 bathrooms.
We had 3 bathrooms.
One was for the cats.
Yes, we had a cat bathroom. So our bathroom had one sink and a little tiny shower. It was kind of like an RV bathroom. So walking into the 380FL, having that bathroom, it was
Huge.
It was huge. Having the 2 bathrooms and everything, it was perfect for us. And having that front layout, it was what Mike said, being able to keep the kids near us and everything, and them not wandering off and just spending their entire lives in the bedroom. So it really has brought our family together more. We've been able to spend a lot more time together, forcefully.
Yes.
But we did go in there. We really liked it. We still weren't in that mindset of this is going to happen this year.
We're just getting ideas.
So we ended up talking with a realtor and seeing kind of what would happen, what we needed to do. And should we give him a shout out?
Shout out, Mike Weber, the man.
So Mike is actually one of Mike's riding buddies. He was the one that actually sold us our house in the first place. So we knew.
12 years ago now.
Yep, we knew he was a good guy, and he would guide us straight. So we talked with him and kind of figured out some different things as far as money went, and we decided we had somebody actually interested in the house. So we decided to try to do a
self-sell.
A self-sell. Yep. So we had everything in line. So we went down to the RV show and sat around in the 380FL. I had done a lot of research. I had called around to long distance places, get the best price kind of thing. And being at the RV show, they knew that I knew what I was talking about when I gave them a price. So they honored the price from another RV dealership. I don't know if they would do that outside of an RV show, but
and the RV show price, I think, was pretty close to what we wanted.
Well, the RV show price for the standard model was pretty close.
Yeah,
but we wanted a generator, slide toppers, heat pump,
dual pane windows.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to fall down here. And dual pane windows. So a lot of people will ask why you want dual pane windows. They don't really help with our value. We know that. But we knew that they did help with sound. And living in an RV park, that was exactly what I wanted, was to make sure that we didn't have so much noise coming in from the outside, but also coming out from ours, because we do like to watch movies loud. So I wanted to make sure that we weren't disturbing other people. So we sat there in the RV show and ordered our RV. We were good to go. We put down our down payment. And then we ended up going to Idaho.
Yep.
Bring Mike in here.
Here I am.
And when we came back, our sale for our house fell through. So we had already put down the down payment for the truck and the RV, and then realized that instead of a sale by owner, we were going to go with the realtor. And we called Mike back, and what he told us is that we needed to prepare as quickly as we could for an open house. So what that meant for me is massive, frantic packing of everything. I didn't care if we were keeping it or not. We were throwing it in stuff so that it was off the walls and ready for an open house. So that took me probably 1 week to get all of that stuff done.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And we had already downsized quite a bit at that point, because we knew we were going to do this, so we started preparing months in advance.
Right.
Trips to the Ark with stuff, trash, you know, all that downsizing stuff that we knew we couldn't take with us. So.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Got to show you the bald eagle
That
going
would be
across there.
a bald eagle. Barely got it. Nice.
Awesome. Being out here, you get to see some nice wildlife. We saw elk on the way up here. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it really well in the video that I took, but And then that bald eagle, that was really close. That was awesome.
So anyway, squirrel.
Squirrel.
Back to the video.
So, yeah, so we ended up having an open house. The first day didn't go so well. The second day we had an offer. So it was really fast moving.
I thought we had the offer the first day of the open house on
Nope.
Saturday.
Nope, Saturday it was, I was actually kind of disappointed because we got feedback and people talked a lot about the paint on the walls, that they really didn't like it, which frustrated me because it's like, you can paint.
That's changeable stuff.
Right, that's changeable. So the people that actually bought the house are really, really nice, and they were planning on remodeling everything anyway, so they could care less about the paint.
Yeah.
So we had the offer and had everything, and we had it set so that the closing would actually be when our RV was supposed to come in, within a week or two of our RV coming in.
Because we were looking at about 3 months out at that point.
Yeah, 3 months.
Still being built, the factory, the truck, and the RV. So we had to have that lag time. Plus, when the RV came in, we had to have time to be able to move into it after the closing.
Right. So it came in, and I went down there, and it had come in with no generator, no slide toppers, and no dual pane windows. So I called Grand Design to see what had happened, and they said that the order came in with only a heat pump on the order. So
dealer issue.
But the dealer made it right. You know, they called Grand Design, made sure that they could pull something right off the lot. The big thing was the dual pane windows. There was a couple of different things that they could do at the dealership itself after the fact, but the dual pane windows have to be put in when it's being built. So they pulled it off of the line for us and put the dual pane windows in, and we got it. When did we get it?
It was about a month after that. I think it was about a month before we closed on our house. It was in June, I think.
It was 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Well,
before we closed.
End of June then, I guess.
Yeah.
End of June.
It was cutting it very, very close. And it did come in with everything on it. I walked through, made sure everything was good on it. Yep. There were a couple of little things that they needed to fix, but they did get that fixed for us. And we got the RV 3 days before we actually had to turn over the keys. So we actually picked up the truck first, 3 days before we had to hand over the keys. So 3 days before we got the truck, and frantically put on all of the...
Picked up the truck on Friday and picked up the RV on Monday. So Friday, we had the whole weekend to put all the accessories on the truck. The bed rug, bike rack, hitch, side steps, all the stuff we want to do at the house. But the most vital thing was the hitch, so we can even pick up the RV. So yeah, that was a couple of long days on the weekend, and
very,
it was almost
very hot.
100-degree heat,
yes.
Putting all that stuff in. So, but got it all in. Everything was all good. And then we picked up the RV on Monday.
So we did actually install the composting toilets. Again, you can click on the link up there for the composting toilets. And we installed those. We got all of those put in. Mike installed Heather's bed that he made. We installed
carpet in the living room.
All
that. RV lock, so the electronic lock on the door, Kim installed. The Oxygenics shower head, Kim installed in the shower.
And Mike had already prepared the bike
rack. The bike
rack that we were putting into the slide out tray.
Rear storage tray. Yep. That was already built and done at home. Just had to drop it in. So. Yep.
So when we ordered it, we actually asked the dealership to take out the toilets, so I didn't have to do that, and take out the beds, the couches in there, so we didn't have to deal with those either. Yep. So all in all, it was a really good experience.
Pretty smooth transition. So.
Right. And so one of the last things that I want to talk about real quick here is that if you have cats and a 380 FL, make sure that you block off, and I don't know if they fixed this or not, make sure that you block off your stairs going up into the living room. because our issue that we had, we went and we got to our first place that we wanted to go to in Wyoming, and when I pulled in, I saw a coyote run across and could see the glittering eyes. We got there after dark. And the next day, we couldn't find our cat Chester. And we looked all over for him. We started wandering all over the campground looking for him. We were starting to come to terms with, I really hope that the coyote didn't get him. Came back to the RV and could hear this very, very faint meowing. And we discovered that he was in the pass-through under the RV.
Climbed through the opening under the stairs, which is part of the air intake for the furnace, into the pass-through area in the front, the storage area, and then he was behind the utility wall. So we had to actually take down and remove that wall to even access him. And he had access to the entire underbelly of the whole RV, so he could have wandered all the way to the very back of the RV. And that whole area full of heating ducts and wiring and water piping and all that good stuff. So
thankfully he didn't, but it was still a chore to get him out.
He might have overnight. Who knows where he was at overnight.
We didn't actually lose him until the morning.
Oh, did you see him in the morning?
Yeah, we saw him in the morning before we lost him. So,
so yeah, he had quite the adventure in there.
Yeah.
So we got him out safely. He was fine. He was still enclosed in the RV, which is good. He didn't get out and could wander around outside. So.
Yep. So close off that area.
Yep.
All right.
Little cardboard insert there. It's been good for 2 years. So.
Right. Yep. So we're going to continue on walking here, and then we'll probably sign off from there, and we'll see you in a bit.
Yep. See ya.